Hello everybody, CW here. I want to make a quick video this morning addressing a problem that hand loaders have had for a while, especially casters, reloaders, and that is seating stems and them marking up our bullets that we're trying to seat. With jacketed bullets, it's not really an issue if the nose doesn't fit perfect, because the copper jacket is so strong or stronger that the shape of the inside of these cups, these are your seating stems for an RCBS die. And they usually come with two. They come with a round nose and they come with a semi-wad cutter for 357. And it doesn't truly make a big difference. You might find if you use this on some of the hollow point bullets like the XTPs or the Spears or Sierras or such, that it might round the shoulders just a little bit and give you just slightly different profile to the bullet. But minuscule differences in performance because of that. And truly, there's probably not a great deal of difference marking up a cast bullet either. But the jacketed still looks presentable, still looks nice. But the cast with that mark or ring around it just looks bad. It looks trashy. It looks like you're making junk ammunition or something. So what you can do is, if you have a drill press or even a drill motor in a steady hand, you can put a couple of nuts on here so you protect your threads and chuck it up in your chuck of your drill and then spin it, and then address the cavity here with a number of different things. Good metal sandpaper. You can hit it with a Dremel tool as long as you're nice and smooth. If you've got access to a lathe, you can make it perfect. You could actually even make the whole thing if you had a lathe. Now, RCBS will send you extra ones of these if you talk to them and tell them what's going on. They may have a profile that better fits, or you can just get a new one if you fudge yours up because you thought you could do it, but you screwed it up. Now, this one here I've modified years and years ago, and you can see some of the tooling marks and whatever I used inside there to make this work. But the problem with it isn't so much the taper on the outside, which is what I was attacking. It's the actual diameter of the nose inside. And that's just for this Seiko 353 bullet, 180 grain, 357. And when it goes in to seat, it's a bigger nose than the cavity here, so it's smushing a little bit. And then when you really apply the pressure to seat it, because it's a 180 grain bullet and it's 360 or 359 diameter, and the dies and such are made for 357 or 358 diameter. It's a few thousandths larger, so it makes it more difficult to seat. And yeah, I've got quite a crimp on this one. I was adjusting the die. So you mark up your bullets. Now, like I said, it probably doesn't make a huge difference except for aesthetics. And so many of us have a lot of OCD, and we don't like it, so we don't want to see it. So I'm going to show you another option besides chucking this up in a drill and moving material. I'm going to take this round nose, which I don't really care for, round nose bullets in handguns. I don't know why, because I love them in rifles. I'm weird that way, I guess, but I don't really care for them in handguns, so I don't ever use them. So I'm going to modify this to work with semi-wad cutter or these style, I'm going to call it LBT style, just with that radius on the ogive of the bullet. But relatively, across the board, not relatively, across the board, we're talking about a flat pointed bullet and wanting to seat it without mangling it, marking it all up and making it look trashy like that. All right, let me set the camera back up, get you zoomed in. I'm on my secondary bench here, so I don't have the best camera mount. I got to order another one of those mounts like I have in the reloading room. I really like those. Anyway, let me get you all set up. Stand by. All right, here we go. Now, I've got this stem. This is the one I modified for semi-wad cutters. I'm going to leave this one alone. Before I leave the bench here, I think I'm going to try and polish it a little better to get some of them scorings out of there. But it's not making a difference. So let's talk about this one. This is the other stem. This is the cup point or round nose style cedar stem that I just never use. And you can see it's brand new, and that, as I showed you the die in the beginning, if you know how to read RCBS dies, RCBS die, 74 over here on the early RCBS dies was the year of manufacture. So this is a 74 manufactured die set. Okay. You're going to want to scrape this up to better adhere the epoxy we're going to put in there. And we want a good hard epoxy. You don't want an epoxy that's going to be soft or malleable. Some of the epoxies have just a little bit of a rubbery, you know, you can depress it with your fingernail, you know. You want to get something that's going to be hard. And we're going to use one of the JB Welds that gets really hard. But in order for it to stay in there, because it's a round cup, if you don't do what I'm going to do here, it'll literally spit it out in the second or third bullet that you see. It'll just pop right out, because we're going to be imparting pressure against this, and it's going to flex because it's just a small little piece. It's going to flex, and it's going to just pop right out. So you want to make sure that the epoxy we're going to put in there is going to stay. So I'm going to drill a hole right in the center, just maybe a 1/16 of an inch deep, 1/8 of an inch deep, just to give it some more body, some more size, some more mass of the epoxy. And then we're going to take this Dremel tool with this little bitty ball. Now you don't need to have this ball, but you need something small. So a little larger ball. I think that's about the smallest you're going to find, but a little larger ball would be fine. You could probably do it with a square-shouldered burr. I'm going to call it a burr, rotating file. But you want to be able to scarify the inside of that up to give it tooth for the epoxy to grab to. So let me put you on pause, and I'll put you back on start, and then I'll speed it up during the video. So I'll be going, you know, chipmunk speed. And I'll grind this all out. And I'm going to block it a lot with my hands, but I'll try and, you know, open it up and show it to you. And I'll definitely come back, slow the video down, come back and show you what I've got and what I've done. All right. So stand by. Here we go. All right. Extreme close up, and let's get it focused. Okay, there we go. All I did was just dig some holes and scratch up the sides. And I'm sorry, focus is a little bit of an issue, but I drilled a hole in the middle with the ball. You want to go really slow because you can break your ball off. It's a teeny little ball. And again, focus is an issue. Let me see, there it is against my finger. That's a tiny little ball, little bitty burr. So you just let it do its job. Let it dig and let it scarify the insides of that. Let me pull this out of here and see if I can't get this a little better focus for you. Okay, I'm going to flatten my hand so it can focus better. There we go. Yeah, it looks nasty in there, but that's what we want. We want all kinds of edges and corners and stuff for the epoxy to get in so that it can grab and not fall out. That's it. Doesn't have to look pretty, because what we're going to do is we're going to make it totally flush and flat all the way across the top. And then we're going to put it back in the die, and we're going to have a fully flat cedar that'll just work off the very nose of the bullet. And if we have a bullet that's pointy or it's a different shape, we can go back to that other cedar stem that I'm going to clean up and remove some of them tooling marks from. All right, stand by. Okay, now here's some of the products that I keep on hand and the reasons why I have them. They're not all created equal. I use this quite a bit. This is DevCon epoxy, home epoxy. It's not the 5-minute version. I do have the 5-minute as well. But, you know, sometimes you want the longer set. The longer set is oftentimes better if you've got time to use it. But I wanted to show you that although everything is JB Weld well, these packets are JB Weld. They're not all the same. This is a yellow and black. This is a red and black. And what you'll look at is strength. So this says strength 2424 psi. Okay, strength 3960 psi. So there's different ones available for your purposes. This is just a DevCon home epoxy, going to be similar to that, 2600 psi. So it gives you a strength level of the product that you're going to use. Now I'm going to use this 3960, and I've got a couple of tubes over here that are in use. Here's what I like to mix it on. These are Mott's applesauce cups, but you got little pudding cups and things that you just throw away. Well, hold on to a few of them if you do this kind of stuff, because it's really handy. You turn it upside down. If you mix a lot, you could use the inside, but most of the time I'm mixing a small amount, so I'll use the top. And it's really handy. So you just take A and B. Now we're not needing very much. Remember this, that's only half of what we're going to use. This one's a little bit harder to come out. And you want a 50-50 amount. So we'll put those away. And I don't remember if this is a 5-minute or not, but we're going to have plenty of time here. So this is just an old cleaning rod that I've cut off, and I use just for this because it works so well for applying and mixing and everything. All right, there's that. So that's ready to go. Let's get our stem back in the vise here. And you want it to be fairly level because it's going to seek a level because of gravity. Another good point, which I just thought of before we get going here, is we're going to clean this out and make sure that there's no oils or nothing in there. So just brake cleaner. It evaporates super fast. It's going to make sure that there's no oils in there or anything in there that would cause a problem for our epoxy to stick. Give it just a second to make sure it evaporates. And then we're going to get our epoxy in there. Now, I'm pretty sure that you're in the frame. I really should have looked a little better. Let me stand by. Let me make sure you're in the frame. I'm glad I reset it because I don't think you were in the frame. All right, a little bit too much because we're going to add it a couple times. And get it right in there. Don't drop it like that. Try and keep it on the inside, but don't worry too much if it gets to the outside because we're going to have time to wipe it off. I want to make sure that I'm getting some down in those cracks and crevices. That's what I'm doing here. Just making sure that there's no air trap stopping the epoxy from getting down in there. Get a little bit more. Told you we mixed 20. And you want it proud of the surface because you can machine this, file it off to make it dead flat. So that's it. That's it. That's all you need. Leave that on there because that'll be your test. And get yourself a rag and your tools off. And just wait. So for you, it's going to be an instant. For me, it's going to be however long this takes to cure. And I'll be back. Stand by. All right, I just finished repolishing this one. It's not perfect. There's a pretty good gouge in there. But for what this is, it's going to be fine. It's a whole lot smoother. It's a whole lot smoother inside now. And it's going to be fine. I may just make a brand new one on the lathe. And see, I think I've got this thread. I think it's a 1/4 28. So that's easy enough to do. But all right, our part down here is still drying. We've got the piece over there that is the remainder of our epoxy, so we're telling when we're cured, and we'll come back when it's done. All right, we are about 10 hours later, and this is all tacked up and set up, and this is the reason I like to use these cups and leave it on these cups, because you can use this over and over again, because these cups are made of what they're made of. The epoxy doesn't really stick to it. So you can peel it right off just like that and throw that away and use this cup again another day. Did I just rhyme? Here's our stem. Kind of funky looking there. But we're going to file that right off. And it's going to come out dead flush. And it's going to be a nice cedar. So let's do that. Let's see how easy this files off. Yeah, it's going to file right off. Pretty nice. When we get closer, I'll put it in a vise. It does fill up a file pretty good, so we'll have to stone that. Wire brush that out. But that's all right. We can do that too. All right. Let's see about this right here. I'm just putting it flat on the file. I'm dragging it across. You can hear it hit the steel. And that's when we know we're going to be all the way down. When it doesn't take it off anymore. And it hits nothing but steel. Because we can't go down any farther than the steel. And we'll know by looking at it all the way around that we are down to steel all the way around. And there we are. I'm just going to dress this corner, and I think I should get a different file, but let me get a different file and come back and I'll show you a close file to clean out. Just like brand new with no problem, just with a wire brush. That's all. Take care of your files, they'll take care of you. There's that. All I want to do is I just want to take that sharp corner, that sharp edge off there. Where's my, there we go. Just that sharp edge on the, where we filed it. I just want to take that sharp edge off. So I'm just going to drag it across the file here at an angle while I spin it. And what that does is it just takes that burr edge off, so it's a little bit smoother. It's not quite as sharp, not really so much smoother, but there we go. Now that's set up, and we can seat bullets now, and we won't have any dents in them because we're pushing straight off the nose. Just flat. That's a dead flat cedar. That's it. That's how you do it. That's how I do it. Worked for me a bunch of times. Sure, it's going to work a bunch more. I hope it helps one of you guys out. So there it is. It's an RCBS stem. It'll work for anybody's mold. Anybody's die. And it'll make you have prettier bullets. God bless everybody. See you.